Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to our Shirin Sfasemes, Parshas Beshalach Tavshin Peivav. We find that when Klal Yisrael is leaving Mitzrayim, at the beginning of our Parsha, the Torah describes them as V'chamushim Olu B'nei Yisrael. Klal Yisrael left in a way that they were chamushim. Says Rashi, what does it mean, chamushim? Rashi says it meant that they left armed. They were holding weapons and they were ready to fight a battle. Rashi explains that since the Rabban Shem Menachem Alekim, since the Rabban Shem didn't take them through the inhabited land, but rather through the desert, they needed weapons to go ahead and to fight off any enemies. Frekta Eligas Vasemis in the year Tafresh Lamazayin and in the year Tafresh Nun Hey, I don't understand. Klal Yisrael's koyach is not the cherev. Klal Yisrael's koyach is a kol Yaakov. Yedayim is Yedei Esav. Al Charbecha Tichya, the pasuk that goes ahead and is given as a bracha that you're going to live by the sword is the bracha that's given to Esav, not to Yaakov. Why do we find that Klal Yisrael, especially at the moment that they're leaving Mitzrayim, this is the moment that they become solidified as a nation, as the Am Segula. They're on their way to Matan Torah, and Dafka over here we find that Klal Yisrael needs to leave with arms. They're surrounded by Ananei HaKavod. They have no worry at all about any enemies attacking them. And the pasuk goes ahead, and the simple pshat of Rashi. The second pshat means only 1/5 left, but the simple pshat of Rashi is that Klal Yisrael left with arms. They left with weapons. Why? Frektes Vasemes Bnei Yisrael Hoylem Hakol. And the pasuk of Achar B'Chatichya is a pasuk which is given to Esav. Why did Klal Yisrael leave Mitzrayim specifically with the koyach of the weapons, the koyach of being armed? Says the Heligas Vasemes that what took place was al yedei zeh, that since Klal Yisrael left Mitzrayim, al yedei zeh harvichu b'nei Yisrael gam liyoysa cherev neged Esav. That what Klal Yisrael got was the ability to not only have their koyach of Akol Kol Yaakov, but Klal Yisrael was able to go ahead and be zeicha to Yedayim Yedei Esav. Chazal say if a person zeicha, he could be zeicha to his own chelik and chelik of his friend, of his chaver in Gan Eden. Klal Yisrael was zeicha not only to their own chelik of Akol Kol Yaakov, which is how they got out of Mitzrayim, is through the kol of the tefillah and the kol of the Torah of Tavdanas Elikim El Harazeh. But Klal Yisrael, by leaving Mitzrayim, is also able to be maviach, was also able to get the weapons of Esav. And therefore, when Klal Yisrael leaves Mitzrayim, they don't only leave with their own chelek. They don't only leave with Akol Kol Yaakov, but they leave as well with the Yadayim Yedei Esav. They leave with the weapons that are there in the hands of Esav. Says the Sfasam is why exactly would Klal Yisrael need this koyach? What does Klal Yisrael need the koyach of weapons for? Says the Heligas Sfasam in the year Tafresh Nun Hey, we're not talking about physical weapons. We're not talking about fighting a physical battle with physical weapons against physical enemies in the desert. Rather, we're talking about the way that Klal Yisrael is capable of standing up to the Umas HaOlam. The Medrash in Shmois Rabbah, and our parsha brings down the pasuk of Yoinasi, a pasuk in Shir Hashirim, Yoinasi b'chag ve'asela, that the Rebbe Shem calls Klal Yisrael his dove that's hidden in the cleft of a rock. Yoinasi b'chag ve'asela. Frak the Heilige Medrash, it shouldn't say Yoinasi, my dove is b'chag ve'asela. Rather, Yoina is b'chag ve'asela. Says the Heilige Medrash that Klal Yisrael acts like a lion. Klal Yisrael acts like a wild animal. Klal Yisrael acts like an animal that's ready to attack and to fight off and defend off any enemies when it comes to the Umas HaOlam. As we find that Klal Yisrael and the Shvatim are compared to various animals. Binyomin is Zev Yitzroif, Yehuda is Gur Aryeh, the Don is compared to a Nachash, the Shvatim. And Klal Yisrael is compared to animals when it comes to the Umas HaOlam. And the Umas HaOlam and the nations of the world are going out and attacking us, we don't act like a meek dove. We don't act like a simple dove, just sitting there and saying, okay, if they're attacking us, there's nothing we can do. When the Umas HaOlam and the nations of the world are spiritually attacking us, says the Medrash, we go ahead and we stand up to the nations of the world in a way like a riot. We stand up like a lion and we're ready to fight the battle. Yehuda Gur Aryeh, Binyamin Zev Yitzrev, Don is the Nachash, we're ready to fight the battle and not to take the suffering and not to take the spiritual gullus that the Umas HaOlam are putting us in. But when it comes to the Rabbanu Shalom, then Yoinasi, then we're like a timid dove, ready to follow the Rabbanu Shalom. Lechtech achrei b'midbar be'eretz lo zerua. Says this Fas Emes, that means that the koyach of being able to go ahead and fight, the koyach of Achar B'Chatichya that Klal Yisrael took wasn't simply to fight physical battles, but Klal Yisrael took that koyach from Esav. The ability to, on the one hand, have a Kol Kol Yaakov. Kol Kol Yaakov means that we're ready to go ahead and be mavatal ourselves 100% to the Rabbanu Shalom, to give ourselves up like a dove following the Rabbanu Shalom's path. But at the same time, we were able to go ahead and to take the weapons out of Mitzrayim to be ready to fight the battles against any of the nations of the world that are going to go ahead and try to tempt us to go ahead and to follow them. Chalila connected the Ratzon of Hashem. As the Medrash over there says, the Umas HaOlam say to Klal Yisrael, Matem avakshim an Shabbos. What do you want from Shabbos? Azusha atem shermim. What do you want from Shabbos? Why are you so busy with Shabbos? Min amila azusha atem oilam. Why are you going out and circumcising your children? They mavakshim lavatal lahemes mitzvahs. They're trying to go out and to stop Klal Yisrael from doing mitzvahs. Klal Yisrael is connected Nashim Kechayis. Klal Yisrael fights like an animal against the Umas HaOlam. Klal Yisrael says we are not going to give in. We're not going to give 1 inch of our territory to the Umas HaOlam, but we're ready to fight like a lion who's ready to fight off any attackers on his or her prey. Klal Yisrael is able to stand up like a chayis rois, to be able to stand up like the proper lion, to take these midas and to be able to use it in the proper way. As the Sfas Emes writes in Tafresh Nun Hey, Inyan she'isha Yisrael, a Yiddish person needs tzarech liyis by kala midas Shema Yisbarach, to use all of the midas for the Rabban Hashem, oz kanemer, kal kanesher, to use the azas of a nemer, of a leopard, to be able to go ahead and to serve the Rabban Shalom. Even though these are midos, says the Sfas Emes, that are generally not our tchunas hanefesh, we're generally yoina si b'chag ve'asela, we're the yoina of the Rabban Shalom, but when it comes to the Umas HaOlam, we're ready to go ahead and to fight. Therefore, says the Eligas Sfas Emes, be'emes, therefore we took this kayach from the Mishtamash B'midas HaAzis le'lachem HaSitra Achra, we took the kayach of Azis, we took the kayach of fighting, the kayach of Achar B'chatichya from Esav. When we left Mitzrayim, we left Chamushim Olu B'nei Yisrael Mitzrayim. Why? In order to be able to go ahead and to be able to fight back against any one of the nations of the world that are going to stop us from getting to our destination of Matan Torah. Says the Heligas Sfas Emes, when Klal Yisrael finally got to Kriyas Yamsuf, they were able to get to a greater level. Va'ata b'Kriyas Yamsuf hischalias ikra avoida b'chinas bittul amuna. Now Klal Yisrael is able to go ahead and do what we're really created to do. We're not created to fight off the Umas HaOlam. It's a necessary tactic that's necessary at times to go ahead and to act like an aryeh, to act like a lion or a zev, like a wolf, to go ahead and to fight off the Umas HaOlam, to take that koyach of Achar B'chatichya and to fight to Umas HaOlam, not to take anything that they're going to go ahead and try to seduce us and convince us to go off the derech halilov, even for one moment, not to go ahead and to listen to them, to stand up like a lion to them. But that's not who we are. Who are we really? The way the Rabban Hashem describes us in Shir Shirim, Yoinasi b'chag ve'asela, we're a dove ready to go ahead and to follow the Rabban Hashem. Says the Heligas Sfas Emes, when we came to Kriyas Yamsuf, the Rabban Hashem said, Hashem yolachem lachem. The Rabban Hashem is going to fight your battles. Your job is now just to go, Dabra b'nei Yisrael v'Yisrael. Talk to Klal Yisrael, let them travel. Let them go ahead and tafsu umnas avosim, like Rashi says. Let them call out to Rabban Shalom. Let them go ahead and walk into the Yamsuf and the Munah. Let them go ahead and attach themselves to what they're really created to do. Hakol kol Yaakov. And if the Yadayim B'dei Esav is necessary at times, but we want to rise above that. We don't want to be involved in the Shibud Malchias and fighting off the Yitzhar at every moment. We want to be involved in the process of La'asad Lavai, when Hashem Yilachem Lechem Ba'atam Tacharisha, and the Baruch Hashem will fight for us, and we can just go ahead and be silent with the silence of a Yidim Aaron, Ba'atam Tacharisha, with the Avodah of Amunah, the Avodah of Tefillah, V'Yitzaku. This is our Ikar Avodah. This is what the Sfas Emes writes, both in Tafresh Nun Hey, and earlier in Tafresh Lamed Zayin. This is the avoid of Klal Yisrael. On the one hand, who are we? We are Kol Kol Yaakov. But at the same time, we recognize that if we're too timid, and we go ahead and we're just a Kol Kol Yaakov, and we're not able to stand up for what we believe in, we're not able to stand up for our principles, then we're going to end up getting taken, Chalila, by the Umas HaOlam. And therefore, it's necessary at times, V'chamushim Ola B'nei Yisrael Me'eretz Mitzrayim. It's necessary at times to walk around with a stick, to walk around with a gun, to walk around with a sword, not a physical one, but to walk around with a spiritual weapons, to be able to go ahead and to fight against the Umas HaOlam, to fight against anybody who's going to tell us, what do you need Shabbos for? What do you need Milah for? What do you need Torah for? We say, we are not going to listen. We're going to stand up like a lion who knows what he's there for, who has principles, is able to stand up for his principles. Klal Yisrael is able to stand up. Once we're able to go ahead and fight off the Umas HaOlam, then Yoinasi l'chag v'yasela. Then we can go ahead, Hashem yolachem lechem ba'atam tacharishan. The Moshe will take care of all the enemies. Shibud Malchias is what's going to get wiped out. When it comes to Asad Lavai, then we're going to be able to get to this higher place, the place that we don't have to go ahead and fight. Says this Sfas Emes, these are the two names of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu is when he's fighting. When his Yada is a Chezes Be'ekav Esav, he's holding on, he's grabbing on to the heel of Esav, fighting Esav and saying, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to go ahead and physically and spiritually fight the war that Esav is going ahead and waging against Yaakov Avinu. But Yada Chezes Be'ekav, that's the Indian of Yaakov Avinu. Higher than that is Yisrael. Yisrael is just following the Rabban Hashem to be mevatel everything. Matitzik Elai, Dabra b'nei Yisrael, Yisrael, Hashem Yilachem lechem, ba'atam tacharishan, the ability to be able to go ahead and not need to fight, not need to go ahead and get involved in Yada Chezes Be'ekav. This is our Ikar Avodah. On the one hand, to recognize that in Golus it's necessary to stand up strong for what we believe in, not to be timid, but to go ahead and to be proud of what we believe in, not to be shaken by any of the ideologies of the outside world, but to go ahead and walk around with the spiritual weapons that we need to go ahead and to fight off the Umas HaOlam. But also to recognize that that's not really who we are. Who we are is a people who are peaceful people, a people who are Yoinasi b'chag ve'asela, the Baruch Hashem's timid dove, that's lechtich acher b'midbar dabra b'nei Yisrael v'yisol, Hashem yilachem lechem ba'atam tacharishan, and that's a real bikush. A real bikush is to get to a place of serenity, a place of almei menuchis in aleini, and that's our ikar bikush. Hashem should help, we should be zeiche that when necessary to fight off the Yetzer Hara and to fight him off like a lion, fighting off a predator, fighting off somebody who's trying to go ahead and take one of her cubs. But at the same time to recognize that although that's necessary now, we daven to Rabban Shalom for a time in our lives, for a time in all of Klal Yisrael, on the world's life, the world's history, when we're able to get to the place of Mashiach, the place of Geula, the place where the Moshe will take care. Hashem yilachem lechem ba'atam tacharishim. Have a great Shabbos.